You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Is this actually happening? Are we about to do a Locked On Astros postcast with a victory? That's right, people. It happened today at Minute Maid Park. Michael Connor here with you for the Locked On Astros postcast. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube in podcast form. Wherever you get your podcast, search for Locked On Astros. You will find it there where it's titled Postcast. And, of course, stick right there to listen to the Locked On Astros podcast as well. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150. Win or lose, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. They're not back yet, are your Astros, but they did play way better baseball today. They got me so excited with the way it ended, I decided to change out of my normal golf hat and put on an Astros hat today. Look at that. Congratulations to you, Astros. Now, maybe I shouldn't have worn the 90s era one because that was the Jeff Bagwell era, and listening to him on TV makes me want to just punch things, but that's okay. I'm here for more wins. 5-11 now. That just still feels very, very wrong. But they did what they had to do today. They had to go out there and they had to get a victory and just kind of be able to take a breath. Where would this team be, by the way, without Ronel Blanco? We'll talk a little bit about him in just a bit, but where would they be without him? He gives them a solid start. The bullpen does its job behind him. Thank goodness. Brian Abreu, for a brief moment, made it look like, you got to give up this tie ball game. Rangers going to go back in front late, and you never know what's going to happen. And then finally, they have an inning that they need. 7 runs in the 7th inning. I feel like, and I'm sure those of you sitting here watching this show live, you feel the same way. I feel like I lost about 15 pounds today. I can't imagine what I'm going to feel like when they get back to winning baseball, to being a 500 baseball team. They're not out of the woods by any means. They're not out of the woods. But today was the first. You have to take that first step, correct? You know, what's the saying? What is it? Day one or one day or day one? Well, one day they want to be a champion this year, but you got to start with day one. And now day one was a while ago, but they had to start day one of their fixing it today. And maybe, hopefully, that's the case. They need a win tomorrow in the rubber match of the 3-game series. They need to get that before Atlanta comes to town. Atlanta's going to be very difficult, as you do know. But everything about the end of this baseball game today was it's been an exhausting few days. Last night we did a the longest show we've done for the Locked On Astros postcast, which, by the way, after every game, unless there's some sort of scheduling conflict, I will be here doing these. We did a long one last night, and I got a lot of things off my chest that have made me very, 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 very angry with this baseball team as of late. And today I don't have to do that. I will say, when they went down 2-0 in the first inning today, it felt like, oh boy, here they go again. And it didn't become that. Thank goodness it did not become that. And if it did, it would have been, I'm not going to lie to you, if it went south again, it would have been a little bit tough to do this show today. Because I probably, one of these bobbleheads back here probably would have sacrificed a bobblehead or something. I smashed the computer screens that are in front of me. My wife wouldn't have been too happy if I did that. I probably would have freaked the dogs out, especially the one that's laying at my feet right now. But I was not about ready to sit here and do another show where we have to talk about just bad stuff. Whether it was Jose Altuve, who, by the way, continues to be Jose Altuve. For anybody concerned that Altuve, by the way, he will be 34 next month, in the month of May, which is crazy to think. The man's not slowing down. He looks as good as he's ever looked. He looked phenomenal last season when he wasn't hurt. He played at just a torched earth level, and he has come out of the gates so red hot. I mean, I say it all the time. He and Jordan can't carry this team, but they better get their act together, this team, and win some games, because if these guys can keep any sort of pace like they're keeping, Altuve and Jordan, you have 2 MVP candidates right there. That's what's so frustrating about the start to the season at 5-11 is that they have guys, whether it's Altuve, Jordan, Kyle Tucker. I don't want to. They have a former MVP in Jose Abreu. But you know what? I'm not crap on Jose Abreu. Jose Abreu had 2 hits today, including a double. Stand up, take a bow, Jose Abreu. Now back it up tomorrow. Everybody but Yainer Diaz and Mauricio Dubon get to the hit column today. That has to feel good. That has to feel very good. It feels great for me. I can't imagine what it feels like for those guys because they have been wearing it bad as a team across the board. And look, for the most part today, they were terrible with runners in scoring position until they hit that 7th inning where they went nuts. I mean, they were, what I believe, 0 for 3 with the bases loaded before they finally did something. They ended up going 6 for 16 with runners in scoring position today, but they still left a whopping 13 men on base. Now, that has been something that we have always talked about with the Astros throughout the years is left on base, runners in scoring position. Like, their numbers have always at times been frustrating. But when the Astros do go right, they usually have more opportunities to have those situations, runners in scoring position, men left on base, than most teams out there. And that was the case today to an extent. Now, you'd like to put them across the board early. You'd like to put the pressure on the other team early because lately they've not been a team that's jumped out in front of anybody. Now, hopefully, maybe it was smart on their part today. They didn't hit they did not hit the 10-run barrier because typically when this team gets to 10 runs, the next day they come back out and it's a guarantee they're not going to score any runs. Now, it could be that way tomorrow because Evaldi's going for the Rangers, but good news, the Astros have Javier going, so maybe they can win a pitching duel tomorrow. But they have to find a way at some point. Now, this is where I'm going to get a little bit picky, to be a team that comes out and jumps on you a little bit early. And their wins this season, there's not a lot of them to pick, just 5, have been more of these lopsided wins than anything else. They're going to have to win close, tight, and late. That's what they're going to have to do. Now, technically, today was close, tight, and late because it was late when they got all those runs. I get it. But the final score ended up being what it was, which was a huge, huge deficit. Shout out, like I mentioned, to the bullpen today as well. They were handed a situation of high leverage across the board. And again, it looked like they were going to possibly just a little bit going screwed up. You don't have to waste Josh Hader today. You get Rafael Montero there in the 9th inning as well. But Abreu, a little bit dicey. He wasn't great there. He does his job, Montero. And then congrats to Sean Dubin to being the latest arm to be brought up for a team that has no arms that are healthy, has no arms that are fresh. They have to find a way to get through games at this point. But it would not be possible, one bit of it be possible, without the starter, that is Ronel Blanco, who once again did his job in a big, big way for the Astros today, even when he didn't start off his best in that first inning, giving up for the first time runs on the season. Runs? He gave up runs? Yes, he gave up runs. We will talk more about Ronel Blanco in just a moment because, again, this team would be nowhere without him after a quick message. All right, guys, I want to tell you about Ibotta. Spring is here, so it's out with the old and in with the new, but don't splurge on anything new without getting cash back in return when you use Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibata user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Join over 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including all of your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibata by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA for Ibotta in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. It is the Locked On Astros Postcast. Michael Connor back here with you again. Thank you to all of us for joining us. Thank you for the last couple of days. You guys have really helped grow the YouTube page. It means a lot. I've never done anything like this. This is all new to me, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. We've done post-game shows for a very, very long time. You and I have in a different format. Now, I know I don't get to hear your voices on this one, but I appreciate you listening because it does mean a lot to me that you do it and you want to watch and you tune in and you trust me with your Astros coverage. It always has meant a lot and it will continue to mean a lot. So if you're new to the page as well, that YouTube page, hit subscribe. If you're listening to this in the podcast form, which is go search for Locked On Sports Houston on YouTube, you will hit that subscribe button there. We're going to creep up the numbers, get this thing going. We're going to build our big old happy family. Or eventually we're going to have nothing but great things to talk about because for these Locked On Postcasts, we'll have Locked On Astros Postcast, Locked On Rockets Postcast, Locked On Texans Postcast, Locked On Cougs Postcast as well for you Cougs fans out there this football season and some basketball probably as well. So join us for all of it right here with Locked On Sports Houston every single day. And then go listen to the daily podcast of those shows that I mentioned, of course, Locked On Astros, Rockets, Texans, Cougs. They've got them all for you with Locked On. They are as good as it gets. We appreciate you subscribing to all of our pages and joining us for all of our content at Locked On. So Ronel Blanco today, fantastic again for the Astros overall. This team would be screwed if they did not have him. Look, they have 5 wins this season. Ronel Blanco's produced 3 of them. That's where they're at. For a guy that is 30 years old and didn't get an opportunity at the big league level until last season. And it was kind of, start off as a starter, pitch and relief some. Walk issues were a thing, but looked good, has a good slider, has a big fastball at times, like does a lot of the little things that you want to see out of a guy to be somebody that you rely on in your rotation. And so far early in this season, and I think today was big for him because just last week in Arlington, he saw this Rangers team, and he pitched very well in that game against the Rangers. I mean, he took a no-hitter late into that baseball game that day. And, usually when you see a guy face a team twice within a week, the second time will sometimes go poorly. They've got a fresh look at you. You're on their mind still. They know what repertoire you're using, especially for a guy that has introduced a new pitch this year in a changeup. And the changeup has been lethal for him. It's been a big boost to his game. He was a little bit predictable last year when he could throw just a fastball and a slider, basically. You add in this changeup, and credit to him for working on it, credit to them for having the confidence to call it, and then going out and executing the pitch. It has been a game changer. And the Astros have a guy that was technically their last starter added to the rotation at the end of camp. He's their 5th starter in the rotation right now, and he's without a doubt, and sorry to Javier. Javier's been good so far this season too. He is their most reliable starter they have right now. It's a little bit scary when you think about the big picture of it. I get it. The Astros don't need to have that situation. That's kind of a problem. But I prefer to look at the positive of it, that this guy maybe is finding something this year for this baseball club, and that's one less spot that you have to worry about as you move forward when guys get healthy. The way that he's pitched, as guys do get healthy, he's not coming out of the rotation. The question will be when Justin Verlander returns here very soon to this Astros rotation, who's getting kicked out. It's not Ronel Blanco. I mean, Spencer Arrighetti is probably the most likely candidate. Do you consider putting Hunter Brown down in the bullpen? I don't know. I think Arrighetti's out and Verlander is back clearly for the Astros here very soon. But about Blanco being Cy Blanco, should we change his name from Ronel to Cy? Because honestly, through 3 starts on the season, he's pitched like a guy that can be a Cy Young winner. Now, he's not going to win the Cy Young, but look, he's got what? He didn't get a win or a loss, of course, today. He didn't get no record on the game, but 6 innings, 2 runs. He's got a .86 ERA through 3 games this season. That's exceptional. Keep that train rolling. And at some point, you can hopefully get the other guys back in there to join him, whether that is Verlander, whether that is Framber Valdez, whoever it might be that's going to go into this rotation at some point. they're going to need it. It's going to be great for, as long as it gets. I'm looking at you guys in the comments here, and we appreciate you for some of the words you're saying. I will say, I think my favorite one so far is that I learned I can only tune in every 5 days for a Blanco start. That's true. That is what we've learned so far this season. Basically, at this point, you can only watch when Blanco. But yeah, you can watch when Javier pitches. The Astros should have won that baseball game the other night with Christian Javier out there on the mound against the Royals. And hopefully, again, they'll do that tomorrow, which we'll be back for tomorrow. 105 or 110 first pitch tomorrow. Excuse me. Javier, who's got a 1.1 ERA on the season against Evaldi, who's got a 1.45. So something has to give at Minute Maid Park tomorrow. Who is going to walk away with the ERA ballooning up? Maybe neither of them. It'd be great if they could, find a way to do that. But the Astros are rolling along, and look at it. See, look at this. I'm learning YouTube as well. The comments are popping up all over the place. This is cool. We appreciate all the comments coming in. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Bagwell situation there being on the broadcast with Todd Callis. So it is what it is. They'll figure out something at some point where they've got somebody else that can do it. But what I care about is that Ronel Blanco did his thing again today, and the Astros went out there and they got it was an easy victory at the end. That's all that you can ask for at this point, is that they go out there and find a way to get into the win column. And, I think that they could possibly start something positive here for the Astros very, very soon. That would be great. I would really, really appreciate it, and to keep this ball rolling in the right direction. Again, are they back? No. But you have to take the baby steps, right? And they look a little bit like the Baby Giraffe when the Baby Giraffe comes out. And that Baby Giraffe today went out there and got that victory, and as good as it gets. And it's just so much fun when they win. And 5-11 has not been fun. I do need to check an update for us on the standings, because you don't want to be behind the Oakland A's for much longer. Good news, guys. The Astros from the A's now are only a game and a half back. Look at that. They're only one win back in the win column. They're on the move, baby. Watch out, AL West. Here they come. AL West is not off to a tremendous start this year. I mean, the Rangers are in first at 8-7. So it's been a little bit of a funky start to the season for a division that was expected to be uber competitive probably overall. And I still think it will be. The question is, can the Astros find a way to get through this period of time where, look, the Spencer Arrighettis of the world, Hunter Brown is going to have to figure it out for this club, period. There's just no other way. Ronel Blanco has to keep doing what he's doing. And if Ronel Blanco keeps doing that, it's going to be really, really good for them if they can find a way to piece it together. And more than anything, the offense, the bats, I'm not asking for 9 runs every single day, but they have to be a team that's going out and averaging 5-6 runs for the period of time that, these pitchers are out. When they're relying on these younger guys that don't have big league experience, these guys that aren't pitching very well right now, they're going to need it. But those guys are also going to have to eat innings so you don't wear out this bullpen too much. The day off, still having a day off this upcoming Thursday, could not get here fast enough for this baseball team. They need it in the absolute worst way possible based off the way that they've gone in terms of just wearing people out. And today was a good day for not completely wearing everybody out. We have more to get to here before we say goodbye on the Locked On Astros Postcast. Don't you go anywhere. Back in a brief moment of, can this actually start a positive trend for the Astros? Let's choose positivity on a Saturday, people. We're going to be all fat and happy today. I will be in a little bit when I eat some steaks and drink a lot of wine. And you're going to be fat and happy with me as well after this quick message. Do you know about FanDuel? Well, you should. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, of course, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe and secure and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. LinkedIn. Are you struggling to close deals? Business to business selling is tougher than ever, and that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date, first-party data enabling you to unlock conversations with people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started today. All right, guys. Appreciate you still being here with us for the Locked On Astros Postcast. You know what my favorite part about doing these so far is when we start. Now, look, we're starting this out of nowhere, basically. The YouTube page is new. The podcast, of course, you can find it where you search for Locked On Astros. Seriously, go listen to their podcast as well. You can never get too much Astros in your life. Listen to this. Listen to the Locked On Astros podcast. We've got you covered every single day. But we've started this thing out of nowhere, and it has been awesome to watch it grow so quickly. The numbers keep getting better as the shows go along, and I do appreciate that very, very, very much. The subscriber numbers keep coming up, and that is awesome as well. So keep hitting that subscribe button. We're going to be with you every single day. And I have something fun for tomorrow's game with you guys after we get done. Tomorrow, the last segment, because if you can't tell, we do 3 segments here. We do a segment, we do a little commercial, we do another segment, a little commercial, then a final one. The final one tomorrow is Ask Away in the comments. We're just going to let you guys bombard the comments since I just got to one of them there a few minutes ago. Tomorrow, the last segment is all about your comments. Whatever you want to say about the Astros, whatever, we'll put them up there. We'll talk about them. We'll get it all out since, it's not conversing back and forth like we used to on the radio together through all those years. That's how we'll do it. So tomorrow, that's how we'll wrap up the Locked On Astros Postcast. Today, I asked the question, can this be the start of the positive trend? And yes, it is possible. Hopefully, I used to be in a world where I'd be down there every day, and that's just not my world anymore. So I don't have the inside to that all the time. I do still talk to people that are down there quite a bit, that are in it every single day, and I do talk to people that still work for the team. So, I try to find out little things here and there when I can. But this baseball team right now, as we've seen, has been, a team that has looked like they didn't care to an extent and didn't have that edge that I expected them to come out this season and play with from day one. And it was discouraging, to say the least. It's not who they are. I don't know if there was maybe, and I hope to an extent, I was thinking about this earlier today. And of course, it's not that random. I was at the gym and I was on the treadmill and the game was on the television from last night. And I was like, if I was a veteran player in that moment and this is happening again, I would have gone in there, slammed some stuff around, and screamed at the entire team because they know they're better than what they've put out so far this season. 5-11 for this franchise is completely unacceptable. And again, they know it. We all know it. Even with terrible luck, they've had terrible, terrible luck when it comes to health of starting pitching so far. You still have to play with the cards you're dealt. And there's been plenty of games at times, not recently. Look, I know recently it got really rough there for a second. But there's still been plenty of games where there's been opportunity to win baseball games. And they have not, for 1 second, given themselves a chance to do that. Maybe they woke themselves up. And I talked about it the other day. There's no Michael Brantley. There's no Martin Maldonado. And I'm not talking about the on-field production for those two. Because when these moments like this have happened in the past, those are the guys that their voices carried big time in that clubhouse. It really, really mattered. They would be the ones to close the door and to talk to these guys and kind of right the ship. They're not there anymore. Who's that guy? I really did think in Friday night's game when Yordan Alvarez got plunked, and he got plunked when they're trying to throw inside on him quite a bit, and he was not happy with it one bit, as he shouldn't have been. It's late in the game. The Rangers are winning big. You're worried about, now look, I know the pitcher's got to go out and execute. There's a history between these two teams of not liking each other with the way that the postseason went last year and everything, and all the years, in the AL West now. But Kyle Tucker, if you go back, and I noticed this again when I'm on the treadmill today watching the replay of the game, they showed it in slow motion after Kyle Tucker hit that home run last night after Yordan got hit. And he dead stared back at the pitcher and was mouthing, I'm pretty confident, something with an F word. I've said it before. I think Kyle Tucker is secretly that guy now. We're never going to know it. He's never going to let us in to be able to know that he is the leader per se, or the guy that gets the troops together and gets them going in the clubhouse. But I think he's that guy. And I wonder if last night that moment helped at all on a night that was brutal again. Does that spark something? They piece it together. They win tomorrow. You take 2 of 3. All you have to do is start stacking series wins. Atlanta coming to town after that, incredibly difficult. A team that has one of the most disgusting lineups you've ever seen. I know that they lost Spencer Strider yesterday, but they still have a bunch of guys that can spin it, can throw heat. They've got a bullpen. They've got, to me, coming into the season, I thought that they were easily the best team in the league. Strider knocking them down hurts quite a bit. But they're going to be really, really tough. Tomorrow's vital. A vital, vital baseball game for this team. Get yourself back to 6-11, just 5 games under. You can't hover close to 10 games under 500 like they kind of have now with where they've gone. That would be the most disastrous thing for the Astros at this point, is to hit that 10 game under 500 number. They did that. Okay, freak out a little bit. Panic, 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 panic. I don't think they're there yet. For as last night, we talked about, is this the start of the run being over? And I don't like a lot of the ways that the decision processes are being made over there, and the voices that have an opinion, that have the ability to influence decisions made by the owner over there. It's not good. There's a big reason why they're at where they're at now in terms of struggling with depth and whatnot, because of decisions that have been made by people that aren't qualified for it, that have the owner's ear. But it still is April the 13th today. There's a ton of baseball still left. They've played 16 games of 162. So while part of me last night was just furious like the rest of you, I do have to remind myself that it's a marathon. And I know that we all have to do that sometimes, remind ourselves of it. It truly is a marathon. You can't win the division in April. You can put yourself in a tough spot, of course, to even make a postseason in April. But if you just kind of keep steady the ship a little bit through the rough water, and at worst, get out of this month around 500, you'll give yourself a chance to eventually get right and be right. The biggest factor of all of this, though, is going to be the guys that have been god-awful in the past week as the starting pitchers not being that bad. They just have to give the Astros bats a chance. And then those bats have to do their part and step up to play like they're supposed to the rest of the way. But it feels good again to do this after a win today. Thank you for joining us today for the Locked On Astros Postcast. Always a blast. As I mentioned, if you're new to the YouTube page, hit the subscribe button. Share the video to all your friends, your family, wherever it is. Put it on your TV, run it on repeat, whatever. Search for the audio version of it. Wherever you get your podcast, search for Locked On Astros. You'll see it. This episode will be up in about 15 minutes after the show. So if you missed any of it, you can go back and listen to it. Listen to it again tomorrow. And then, of course, click on any of the Locked On Astros podcast as well with those guys and their YouTube page as well. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening or Saturday evening. It's not Sunday yet. We're back tomorrow, Sunday afternoon, after the 1 o'clock first pitch, 1:10 first pitch. Javier versus Evaldi, where hopefully they'll have a victory in that one. I'm going to go off now and cook some steaks and drink some red wine and have a great, victorious Saturday with the Astros. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.